Hello and welcome to the Grimdark. It is the 41st millennium. There is only war. There are no teddy bears. But in the arse end of the galaxy there is a theatre where this conflict takes place instead inside a 12-inch squared circle cage, where two sides put aside their endless thirst for conquest and instead test their martial prowess and ability to do some civilized moidering in front of a bloodthirsty crowd. Good evening, expectant spectators. I am your host Benji, and this is 40k Deathmatch. Each episode we will be simulating what would actually happen in real life when two chosen mythical matchup datasheets collide under a set of carefully controlled combat rules. What you will bear witness to is a maximum of 3 rounds of action, beginning as always with the combatant afforded an opportunity to load up their favourite arbiter of ranged destruction and engage in a gunfight salvo back and forth. Rounds 2 and 3 will then devolve into an epic slugfest to the death. Should both parties be standing at the end of all that, then the judges will decide, based on overall carnage caused, who the victor is. So to today's fight, and we have a spectacular matchup for you with Imperium's OG combat walker, the Dreadnought, going mano-a-mano with the Chaos Forces equivalent, the Helbrute. This is a metallic grudge match in the elite division that's been simmering on the deathmatch circuit for what feels like days and hours. Two grizzled veterans of planetary combat crippled by shrapnel, but reborn inside their very own murder can. So introducing to you first, fighting out of the blue corner, is a Dreadnought of the vanilla variety, and hailing from the first founding chapter of the Iron Hands. Bringing a base strength of 6 and toughness, whilst packing 8 wounds and a tidy 3-up save to keep things durable-ish. And his opponent, fighting out of the red corner, wanted nothing more than to be a run-of-the-mill Thousand Sons psyker when he grew up. But instead, fate played its part, and here he sits, encased within a somewhat easy to agitate Helbrute husk. Bringing the mirror in terms of stat line, it's going to be loadout and secondary abilities that's going to tell the difference between these not two friendlies. As we kick off round 1 then, it is time to see what each of these guys brings to the range table. Now whilst these shots are raining fire at the very same initiative, I can only give you a description of events one at a time. As it is, our Iron Hands Dreadnought is packing some oldies but goodies in the form of an assault cannon and a wee little stormbolter. And it's the 6 shots from the cannon that draw the wincy face from the Helbrute, as even with 5 ups to wound, 1 damage gets through. And almost as a token gesture, the stormbolter gets its time in the spotlight, but does its best impression of a pea shooter. Maybe stick to the infantry, Stormbolter? Yeah, jog along now. Monsieur Helbrute, however, takes a different view on ranged weaponry, rocking only a missile launcher, here loaded with a crack missile. Because, well, strength 8 beats toughness 7, and I say only a missile launcher because he had to trade in his twin heavy bolter for a Helbrute fist, just so he didn't hit like a potato when things get up close and personal. With missile sighted, this one shot has to hit its target, and even with the distraction of the stormbolter cocking his shot a nut to the right, it still does its thing and sings 1 damage back the Dreadnought's way. His 6-up feel no pain chapter tactic unable to do its thing, and all in all a smidge more action from the Imperium's fighter, which may have swayed the judges, but it's on to round 2. So as soon as that bell rings, each fighter charges the other with anything but hugs and kisses on their minds. And whilst we've already introduced the Helbrute fist, which sounds like it could double entendre with the best of them, the Dreadnought is packing the imaginatively titled Dreadnought combat weapon. Okay, so whilst I might be a bit of an Imperium nuthugger, I am actually rooting for the Thousand Suns here. The rule is, if you bring cool and mean sounding gear, then you're going to get the crowd behind you. So shame on you, Dreadnought. Boring ass. What that one damage also did to the Helbrute is send him into a blind frenzy. You know, it don't take much for these guys to say bye bye to their calm demeanour. Now with re-rolling wound rolls of 1, will that give him the edge in the carvy-uppy rounds? Once again the Dreadnought gets his play-by-play first, and with a great heave swings the Dreadnought combat snooze bludgeon, this time comfortably above the Brute's toughness, and because of his extra attack gifted to him by allegiance to the Space Marines, he's able to mitigate the damage reduction of his opponent's monstrous resilience and crack that nut. Crap name it may be, but that bad boy can shred it up. But what one must be willing to give, they must also be willing to receive, and nobody likes a fist to be hit by a Helbrute with upgraded close combat weaponry. And because the weapon stat line is the same on both sides, and because our Dreadnought also packs some damage mitigation, here in the guise of his duty eternal, is more or less the same story on the backswing. Yes, the Dread's feel no pain rolls provide a minor helping hand, leaving once again after 2 rounds almost nothing between both fighters. The clarion call to signal round 3 is this time greeted with a little bit less enthusiasm, after both fighters paid a visit to getting ruined town in the previous round. But with a combined total of 7 beads of sweat between them, you can tell they're ready to finish this dust up come hell or high water. What we do know from experience is that the decimal points behind the madness can have a cumulative effect. And right now, by a gnat's hair, the Iron Hands have got a sniff more in the tank. Maybe the Helbrute has one last frenzied attack in him though. And oh my boy does he give it one hell of a swing, rocking the Dreadnought way back on his toes and staggering back to the edge of the cage. It was as if he knew that swing of the fist had to count. But somehow, somewhere, somewhen, because I'll be damn sure the man inside the suit doesn't have a Scooby what time it is, he still manages one last swing of the ordinary, boring, snooze-fest combat weapon that hefted such clout last round. And despite the best efforts of the frothing at the mouth Helbrute, the sheer impact of the blow is enough to read him his last rites and send him back from whence he came. My word, that was brutal. It was as if Ferrus Manus himself imbued the weapon with his sweet goodness, and that was the difference maker. And that, dear spectators, is how you tame a Helbrute. He got gone messed up. That really was a titanic battle, Bob. I had the Iron Hands up 2 rounds to none going into the last, even though those were probably the closest 2 rounds I've had to call in a very long time. It was nice to see Dreadboy taking no chances though and giving the fans what they wanted, some straight up slaughter killing. That's right, no one likes a decision, Benji, and that was one chother of a highlight reel knockout. As with all good stories though, they must come to an end, and that's all we have time for today. I hope you've enjoyed this evening's Clash of the Saucepans. Alas, I have been the voice of Benji, and I have been the voice of Bob, and this is the video ending.